Okay, so I think that is live. Let's find it. Made employment, scroll. We're live. Okay. Hello everyone, welcome to the Breakfast Club, part of the Banburyshire job market. I hope you're enjoying it. Every week we do a breakfast club with a special guest. The group is obviously here to help those that need it in the community back into work. So it's all about sharing opinions and sharing information to help out really. We've had Will from Work 7 on here. We've had Tristan from MMR. This week we have a familiar face. I hope some of you will recognise this young gentleman. We've done plenty of videos together, so it's good to have him back.
It's probably changed a lot. I've probably put a bit of weight on, so maybe people won't recognise because I'm a bit chubbier now.
Well, anyway. So it's great to have this young man back in the building, and we were supposed to go live at 9 o'clock, but he can talk, so he's going to be, you guys are in for a treat anyway. So it's not just the jobs we're posting on here. Obviously the Breakfast Club, we're trying to produce some useful content, opinions from people in the community, working in different roles, having different input. So once again, it's all about sharing opinions, sharing information on the local job market. Okay, so Christian, would you like to introduce yourself?
Well, thank you. I feel honoured to be a special guest, as you say. I'd put it down as just a guest.
all the others have just been guests. Sorry, Tristan.
But no, yeah, I should be a familiar face because obviously I worked here since when I was 21 till 25, I believe. 21 to 25. I was here for made employment for 4 years.
Yep.
It's where I've built the groundwork to where I am now. Built me as a person in terms of confidence and everything. So, me personally, I'm Christian. I was part of the team, made employment as a recruitment consultant, moved into a business development role, and then since moved on to join Oxford Global Marketing in a business development executive role, which I have recently been promoted to a senior business development executive. Alongside this, I've also started my own company called Zenway, which is a travel brand focused on actually providing seamless travel experiences and actually applying products within that area. So our first product will be carry-on luggage, but it's very, very early days, and I'm sure we'll cover it later.
Yeah, and that's going to be super exciting, and I do really want to cover that because it's an exciting, it's a bold move, but throughout the time I've known you, you do make good points, you make good moves, and you're a very confident person. So it's a great thing to watch happen. It's
come to the point where I think you just got to give these things a go.
Yeah.
And what do I want to be doing when I'm older? Do I want to sit there and regret actually failing and potentially not doing so well, or do I want to take the risk and it potentially pay off? That's the balance.
Yeah. Well, during lockdown, that's what a lot of people. It's time to consider the options. It's time to reflect on what's happening, and that could have been, although it might have been in your mind. This period has probably really driven it forward to the front of your mind, and you said, I'm going to go for it.
Yeah.
And I know it's been in the planning, because actually we've, like we said, we worked together for 4 years. We had some good times. We still catch up. So we've kept up to speed with how Christian's been doing at Oxford Global, and also just generally it's...
You're basically family.
Yeah, that's
because we kept everything on. Well, we ended on good terms. It was no hard feelings.
No.
From that discussion, we came together. I said I needed to move on. You said we could see it.
Yeah.
And you know when you're kind of that type of friendship and that group level, because you noticed it in me. Yeah. And you never held it against me.
Yeah, we spoke about it before, and so Mayday is a small independent recruitment agency. And one of the issues we have is, being a smaller company, sometimes you can't always offer individuals the progression and the different options that a larger business can offer. So there are pros and cons to smaller and larger businesses, but that is definitely one of the cons as far as being a small business. Then you have great individuals, massively talented. In fact, the editing of the Tristan at MMR videos, Christian's actually done for us. So massively talented, a good friend of mine, and so we were very sorry to see him go, but could absolutely understand where he saw progression was outside of Mayday. So those kind of things you accept, and well, glad to say that we're sat around a table again now anyway. So
Tris covered it really well actually during your last video, where he's mentioned that in his position as a manager, he ultimately wants to see people in his group grow, whether that's inside his company or outside, and that's what you guys are as an organisation. You ultimately have everything you need in terms of, you are a great independently run business in the respect of you hear us out in terms of our voices, and you make sure they're considered. And it weren't too much about the progression in that respect. It was just, I felt it was time to move on. But like Tris said, ultimately in your position, you want to see your people and your friends grow. So you never held it against me in that respect.
Yeah, and I don't like to admit it too often, but I do quite like you. So.
I'm glad.
Okay, so obviously since leaving Mayday, you've taken the role at Oxford Global.
Correct.
So Oxford Global offers in areas so much more than you could have got at Mayday. So you've progressed in certain areas, particularly sales, and I know we touched on sales a lot when you worked here, but some of the things that you talk about, the training and the development within Oxford Global, far surpasses anything that we could have provided. So it's great to hear. And you've recently got a promotion. Indeed. So you've gone in there. Yeah. You found your feet. Yeah. And now you're. Yeah, it
was challenging because I wouldn't want to put you guys down in terms of, I don't agree with the actual comment on the training you gave. Yeah. But in terms of the capabilities compared to size, we were a 10-person company at the time we were here in terms of Mayday. Oxford Global at maximum they were 45. They've got that sort of hierarchy in place to kind of have that time set aside to say, this is what we're going to do with you. They have outside consultants coming in to assist. I'd go as far as saying that you built the foundations of where I'm at today in terms of, I learned a lot from you as an organisation and how to work things. Oxford Global have just topped that up, combined with what I like to think is a strong work ethic in terms of purely partner and client focus. They come first and foremost. That's ultimately, with them in mind, that's where I've got to where I am at the moment. That's what I'd like to think.
Thank you very much. That does mean a lot, and that is essentially Mayday are client focused, people focused. So it's good to hear that. Actually, and that's probably why you were such a valuable member of the team. Well, many reasons, but one of the reasons are that you do put people first, and we're going to touch on it later. Anyway, but when we were discussing before we came live, that was one of the points you were making, that why the whys and the hows and the whats are all driven by your client, the person that's going to be using Zenway. But I'm not going to mention Zenway anymore because we're going to cover it in a moment. I'd just like to say, actually, so this whole go live and social media and marketing in general, I've got to take my hat off to you, because all of this Christian had been telling me about how many years ago? Quite a few years ago. That was one of Christian's frustrations, because you are an ideas man, and over your time working with Mayday, we had some great ideas. Some of them, or hopefully most of them, now implemented. The good ones, anyway. So it's actually, do you obviously still get that input where you are at the moment? You're an ideas man. You're a man with a loud voice. You obviously share that with Oxford Global as well.
Yeah, 100%. And to elaborate on your point, 100%. Some of the ideas are not always great. Some of them are good, and you implement the ones you ultimately feel that are going to benefit your organisation. Sometimes I don't come with the statistics and the stuff needed to back an idea up. It's just a first thought and I say it.
Yeah.
So I can understand why they're, but then I'd argue that the best thinkers out there, ultimately, they have thousands of ideas and they just get them out there rather than hiding them, because if you hide them, nothing ever happens.
Yeah.
Nothing ever changes. But in terms of your question of them being implemented at Oxford Global, they have direct reports in terms of I can go into my portfolio director and I can go straight to the chief operations officer and the operations director and make recommendations on how we.
You mentioned about the email, so you just an example of something like that, tweaking an email. So if a company does certain things in a certain way, it takes a strong individual to almost stick their head above the canvas, stick their head out and say, I think this is a slightly better way of doing it.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned that you did stick your neck on the line, and the stats, the figures, what you just mentioned, backed it up. It worked.
Yeah, 100%. You can't. It goes without saying. You can't always do the same thing and expect different results. It's just. It's not. It just doesn't make sense. If you're looking at the same thing, sending in this case an email, the same.
I'm sure there's a well-known quote in there.
That's what that is. There is a quote. I can't remember who said it, but that is the quote saying, the stupid thing is doing that and expecting the same results. You've got to take chances and risks, and ultimately that's the concern, is people don't want to be perceived as failing or doing something wrong. And it goes back to everything you do. We're human. Yeah. It's obvious, but what we're saying is, me and you are human. You're a managing director of Mayday Employment. Doesn't make you any different to me in the respect of our business development or senior executive at Oxford Global. So the point I'm trying to say is, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to fail. Ultimately, you just need to learn from those failures and tweak things. In this case, I adjusted an email. The open rates were incredible, but there was the call to action was too low in this case, so no one took action from the top half. It's a failure on my part. So now what this ultimately says is that the actual content of the email in this case was good, but the call to action wasn't there. So now what we need to do is adjust where that call to action is placed, and then the two and two can go. And you just continue.
That just sounds like tweaking. That was, I'd say, a success overall. Just room for improvement, and there's room for improvement in most things.
Yeah.
So this is a few bits that we've discussed for a long time. One of them is working from home. So this was the conversation in the office going back a good many years. But this period of time has really driven home. It's forced individuals to try working from home. Now, my personal experience of it, I didn't get on with it very well. It could have been for a number of reasons, that I didn't have the structure or the environment set properly. So I think you do have to be very disciplined when you're working from home, because you're not far away from distraction, if you like. But you are a big champion of it. So you obviously get on well working from home. I don't, but at the same time, I speak to lots of people that are champions of it. So go on, take it away.
Before we even came on live, we touched upon this in terms of working from home and the views on it. I'm on the fence in regards to, it's not right, it's not wrong. The reason why I think it's not right or not wrong is because ultimately you need to put your team members in the best environment for them, in the respect of whatever your business is. Now, don't get me wrong, there'll be businesses that they can't do this in terms of manufacturing. You can't have someone manufacture and monitor a line through a camera, because it's impossible. Sorry, I was just sharing. I completely forgot to share it into the groups. That's all right. That's all right. Anyway. Like manufacturing, you have to be present. Yeah. It works in different industries, but the point is you should, as a manager, as a CEO, whatever it is of your business that makes those decisions, you need to look at where your staff perform the best, because ultimately that's what you want them for. You've hired them to do a job to the best of their abilities. If you've noticed that on the 3 months, let's just say for example, over a 6-month period, that the 3 months working from home, they set in a sales role, they doubled their revenue or something, and then they came back to the office and that dropped. That should statistically say that person's better perform work from home. Absolutely. And it comes down to ultimately, it's exactly the same as an idea, an opinion. Actually,
the idea and opinion needs to be backed up by the stats or the outcome. So regardless if I believe I'm correct, if the outcome is people are performing better at home, then you have to agree. The stats don't lie very often. The point about which market, which role that you're working in, I've always said that's the massively important part. So for the Mayday environment, I feel, and I believe everybody agrees, or majority agree, that what we do, we are better. In the office, we need to be present. So if somebody needs a face-to-face conversation with us, which many do, we're there. We're the other side of the door, albeit a locked door at the moment because we've got to manage people. Put the
parameters in place, which is understandable. And if you really want to go down the route for working from home in terms of that, I'm sure there are things in place to make that transition easier. I'm sure, like with the power of, I believe you use Interview, am I correct? So you use Interview, that would also be able to help you with remote interviews and stuff like that. It depends how you want to go. It may just be that it's financially easier and also easier on personnel to be in the office rather than being at home. It just in my role, in my current position, I'm kind of left to my own devices in terms of what's expected of you. I'm given full responsibility to go and deliver on that, and then I directly report into my portfolio director, where we have one-to-ones weekly to say, okay, how are you progressing? What's not gone well? And from my point of view, I've just got to be honest and say what's gone well and what hasn't. But as long as I deliver.
So outside of the social part of a working environment, you've essentially you're in a very sales-driven role, and it's a little bit similar to recruitment, where we're driven by the result is the sale, the kind of the profit. It's very evident. Like there's almost a weekly or a monthly gauge on how you're doing. So some industries it's not like that, but in yours it is simply at the end of the month. How much have you sold?
Have you hit your target?
Yeah.
And we haven't even touched upon, that's just the business side of things in terms of the benefit for the company. We haven't even touched upon the benefit for the human being that's actually doing the job.
Sorry, that should always come first, by the way. We save the best till last.
Because again, for me, and I made the decision to join Oxford Global.
Yeah.
I knew my commute was going to be 30, 45 minutes, whatever. I made that decision pre-pandemic in terms of last year when the pandemic was on. So I knew I was going to have that commute.
What was your commute to Mayday?
I walked.
Okay, just checking.
10 minutes. But what the pandemic has done is it's opened everyone's eyes, not just organisations but also people, of maybe how much time they're losing or what additional benefit. For me, the A34 is unpredictable. I could get to work in 30 minutes, but I could also be in traffic for an hour and 15 minutes. Combine that two on two ways. That's 2 hours out of your day gone. From just commuting in a car where you can't do anything. Again, going back to what I said, it was my decision. I get that. I completely agree with that. But the pandemic has opened that sort of thinking.
That could have always been in your mind, that obviously you didn't want a long commute. If you work in London, commutes are part and parcel of your day. I worked in Oxford for a year. In fact, I ended up the train was better for me. But experiencing the A34 or traffic or a commute, I see a journey home as being a certain unwind. So it's a time to unwind, and if you can use it in that way, I think it's positive. I'm not saying being in the car or however you're getting home is brilliant, but silver lining is at least it's a bit of time to unwind.
I agree with you. Again, it goes back to the point of the human being in that area.
Yeah.
Because I'm not saying, one thing that I've definitely learned from working from home is that I would like a split. Personally, my personal opinion.
Yeah.
None of this is on the employers, by the way. Zenway or Oxford Global. It's all my personal opinion. Yeah. But I've learned that I would like to be in the office 2-3 days a week, and then 2-3 days at home, because it's finding that balance.
Yeah, so I touched on, so again, my personal opinion is I like being around a team. I like being around people that you can bounce off, that you can chat to. And it's not, you're not always talking about work. It's you could be talking about what you watched last night on Netflix.
Yeah, I agree.
Which, I finished Queen of the South.
We've just finished The Crown for the seasons. So we've been watching that.
I need to watch The Crown actually. If lots of people have said about that.
It's okay. It's not
Queen of the South. I stayed up late to watch the ending. I was disappointed. Anyway, I won't be a spoiler. Okay, working from home. Got to be said as well, the value of having people around you to talk to.
Oh, 100%, and that's what I meant on the eye opening. Because at first I was like, I want to be at home for 5 days a week. Like I don't even want to be in the office.
Yeah.
But you start to slowly realise that you want that connection. There is that place where you do want that maybe 1 or 2 days to bounce ideas off people, because even though we've got Zoom, even though we've got Microsoft Teams, they don't replace the human-to-human connection. Like you said, the rubbish chat in the office, and it normally comes from me. What have you done at the weekend? Someone's about to make a sales call, and I'm like, hold on a second. Have you watched this? And that is an important
Is that why
part.
when you all got back into the office, then the productivity dropped? Because you all had a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
You hadn't seen each other.
Again, it goes back to the personal preference. I realise I'm a distraction, not just to myself, but to my team. And I openly admit that because I'm a very chatty person.
Brilliant.
I'm a very conversational person. I care about you as a human being. I love the openness of people. And I ask those really tough questions that probably overstep the mark sometimes. And I'm like, oh, well, sorry if I asked that. But I really do care about the person I'm speaking with. And I want them to open up. And I want them to feel they've got a friend in me.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. But at the same time, I also realise that I've got a job to do. So if I take away, in my case, if I take away the distraction, which is take me out of that environment, all I've got at home is my dog. And all he does is bark at the postman, so I've got no distraction.
Does look very cute, I assume.
Yeah, he does. He's been a lot of sales calls, because there's been occasions where I've had to stop a sales call and go, I'm really sorry, but I've got to go and deal with the dog. There was one embarrassing moment, and again, going from working from home, I think it's opened people's eyes as well. Again, going back to the whole thing that we're just human. Yeah. At first, it was very awkward to have like your child scream and stuff. I've had sales calls with CEOs where they've had their children with them, and I've loved it. I've been like, oh, there's the future CEO of your company, sort of thing, as a joke. But then there's been a case where I was in a sales call with Roxy, who recently joined Oxford Global, and she'll tune to this if she watches this. But my cat was meowing in the background, and it sounded like a baby. So I was in the middle of a pitch, a proper like in-depth pitch, and you can just hear in the background a cat meowing, and I had to go, I'm really sorry, James, I'm going to have to stop the call here, that's my cat. And Roxy was like, I thought it was a baby. I was like, no, I don't have a kid. But it's come to the point where those things have started.
He's ignoring his baby for a long time. You should probably go and see him.
But it's started to open up to realise that, again, we're all human. Yeah. We're all in this sort of situation together in different areas. Obviously, sadly, some people have lost their jobs, lost loved ones. Some people are fortunate, like myself. I'm grateful to be in a job. Yeah. Over the past few months, I've consistently drummed that into my head that don't moan about little things, because you should be grateful for that fact you're alive.
Massively. And I think what we've just been talking about, so we obviously do have slightly differing opinions, and there will be, everybody has their own opinion on 100%. It and what works for, so you being a massive champion of working from home, to realising actually you'd like a balance. Yeah. There are people that would absolutely not want or need the balance, would be happy working from home and would absolutely suit them even. They would have appropriate support around them, etc. So they don't feel the need to go out and go to work just to tell somebody what they watched last night on Netflix. And you get the people that absolutely would not work from home, and it would be their worst nightmare. Yeah. So there's a range, and it's actually everybody's opinion's valid. And going back to, was this? I'm just checking whether this was pre-go live or not. The Juice guy comment that it was actually, it's the individual's opinions that count. The company obviously make the decision.
Yeah, that ultimately it's ultimately it comes down to, again, going back to it's the be all and end all is the top of any company, any organisation. You make the final decision. But you've got to remember, at the end of the day, the final decision rests with the person at the bottom, because ultimately they'll make the decision what's best for them. Or the middle, yeah. Yep. They'll sit there and they'll address it. And that's what's happened with this whole pandemic, is it's opened the eyes to people to say, okay, actually, why should I sit in a car for 2 hours of my day when I could do my job perfectly at home? And then within those 2 hours, in my case, I found more time to exercise. I know it doesn't look like it, but I have made.
You're looking good, Christian. You're always
trying to make adjustments in that. But I've also been able to read a lot more, and these things matter to me because it's consistent personal development, consistently getting better, with the hope that I improve in not just me as a person, but improving my role, which then benefits the company, which ultimately is the forefront of that thinking. So the CEO, the person will go, we don't want to work from home, we're in the office. Then the person will go, okay, well, I'll go and find a new job and I'll find a position, because that's what's going to happen in the future. Yeah. It'll be a balance. You'll have offices that are hybrids where, my personal opinion again, offices that are hybrids where you kind of the CEOs can set the parameters, so you're in 2 or 3 days a week. Some people may say turn up the office whenever you want, and as long as you get your job done. Yeah. I've spoken with companies in the US and stuff where the managers like, I don't care what my team do as long as they deliver. I don't ask them to report anything as long as at the end of the day I see their metrics are done, and that's it. End
result. There we go. Just going on from that, and how we've spoken about how Oxford Global has adjusted during this period. Do you want to explain a little bit about what Oxford Global do, and then how you've adjusted during the period?
I've gotten used to. I know this mission statement off in my head immediately. Like I've said it so many times.
Don't shake your head.
Essentially, Oxford Global's mission is to connect senior executives and solution providers within life sciences. So the way in which we do this ranges from physical in-person events, so conferences, symposiums, in-person workshops, that type of thing, to digital activities such as webinars, symposiums, digital workshops. The main aim is giving people.
Bad that I don't know what symposiums are.
It's like it's like a one day event sort of thing. Okay.
So you should know that kind of thing. Symposiums.
9 till 6 or 8 till 6. It's just a program full of different sort of speakers and stuff like that. And essentially, we provide people with a platform to, in the case of the researchers and the organisations from a pharmaceutical and biotech and an academic point of view, to come and listen to their peers. The benefit of this is if you're working in an area of research and you may not fully understand this, I still kind of get my head around this, but let's say, for example, immuno-oncology. Let's say you're working within cancer research, that might be better for you. Right. You might come along to listen to fellow peers who are working in similar areas of research to you, so you can better understand how they are tackling that research. So you can learn from them, maybe ask them questions. But at the same time, we also provide a platform for relevant solution and service providers to be on-site, physical and present to showcase their solutions. So let's say you work in a certain area of research and you're having a bottleneck, like an issue with one of your areas that you need a solution in. The aim is that that company will be present at our conference for you to connect with, to say, look, I'm having this problem in my area of research. I think your technology or service can help me. Can we have a conversation? Much like you in recruitment. Someone sits there and goes, I have no time to recruit. Haven't got the talent pool. I'm going to approach a recruitment agency. Can you help me? That's the same situation.
So even so, connecting people.
Ultimately, and that's the pure focus. It doesn't matter how we do it, because it just ranges. It could be from in-person to digital. What matters is connecting people. That's the key.
So connecting people. The first thing you think of connecting people is face-to-face. So that's always the first port call. Face-to-face, video, over the phone. Worst case scenario is email. So you've had to go from the absolute best thing is to get into the exhibition and meet these people face-to-face so you can have a good chat over a coffee. Yeah. So that wasn't available. That isn't available. Is it available? Or
we hosted one in-person conference in 2020, and that was in February, before anything really came to fruition in terms of the pandemic. And Oxford Global, our team is fantastic in terms of what we do. We have such a dedicated team that go above and beyond every day in terms of what they want. They're all driven by the same mission. That's the core from the whole team throughout, right from the CEO down to us as executives, operations teams, production team, delegate acquisition team. We're all driven by the same mission of creating that intimate setting where people can create connection. Because if we can put you in front of the right people, whether that's from a research to research perspective, where you can say, actually, I'm struggling to say my research, what do you recommend? We've made a connection and it benefited you as a person. That's what we want to do. So, as you rightly said, we came up to March, April, and we just had to completely transition. Game has changed, but in good and bad ways, in terms of there's always positives and negatives to look at this. So we had to completely adjust to a virtual format, which is an eye-opener for many, many people. It's existed, but it's a bit like Zoom. Zoom existed and people used it, but the pandemic has just made that go, phew. So Zoom is up here now in terms of not just stock, but also people using it on a daily basis. Microsoft Teams, for example, as well. Yeah. So we also had to transition, which is a whole different ball game for the whole team, because we're learning as we go along, but also trial and error, like we said. We have one event, we learn from that, and we did that as a team. We tested things in the first event, didn't work so well. Second event, we adjusted it, and it's just continuously gone. Yeah. And that's and ultimately, like I said, we have such a dedicated team that we've just gone above and beyond for our partners this year.
Yeah, like any business, it's who's in it. Yeah. You can it might have a fancy shell and a nice face, but it's actually the cogs that go on inside. So we've got 5 questions, Christian. So you've done plenty of interviews in your time. Yeah. So here we go. Questions are nice, so you're okay. So you decided to look for a new position outside recruitment. What transferable skills did you pick up in recruitment? So the reason why I'm asking this is lots of people may be changing the industry they work in or what type of job they're going for, and something you'll hear a lot in recruitment is transferable skills. So those skills that will take you from one industry to another, from one type of job to another. Mm-hmm. In recruitment, there's a certain skill set, a certain type of person, personality-wise, works. What transferable skills did you have that you used to look for your next role? That was a long way of asking. Sorry, I went around the houses a few times. Yeah.
It's challenging because I think I see a post a lot on LinkedIn that gets shared a lot on different verticals in terms of these 10 things require not hard work, but it's these 10 things. You've probably seen it where it's like hard work, being on time, commitment. Yeah. And I think that's instilled in a human being, in a person, and it can be trained and move forward. As long as you have those fundamentals, I think you can transfer that to anything, because you can achieve whatever you want to put your mind to. Everything comes down to what's in your head. You limit yourself to what you think you can do. Ultimately, there are so many different resources out there going. Sorry, you wanted to say?
No, I was just going to say that is massively important. Actually, those are the 3 things: the showing up on time, is putting all the effort in. I've forgotten the other 10. I've only thought of 2.
There's loads. Okay. I don't remember, but that's the core, because it's the characteristics of a human being. Yeah. Me personally, I hate being late. I absolutely hate. I'd rather arrive 10 minutes early than be a minute late. I'd rather just sit around and do nothing, because it's just naturally in me. And
all my friends and you will testify. I and my wife, I hate being late. Always on time. Aren't I, Christian?
Sometimes, yeah. But in terms of going back to the transferable skills that I learned from recruitment, is one, being resilient, and especially in my role now as sales, I've got to be, because I'm going to get 10 no's for every 1 yes, and I can't. The key is that just don't take it personally. I challenge people on this, because when someone hangs up on me or gets a bit rude, I'm like, I'm just a human being doing my job. Yeah. Like, if you don't want to speak to me, just politely say I'm not interested, or send me an email. I'm gonna go with that. I'm not gonna push you and say no. I really need to speak to you, because I understand that you're busy. I've called out the day, but I've got to be resilient and accept that.
That's a massive point. So resilience in any sales or recruitment role. So recruitment, you can be tough and seen as a nuisance. So we make sales calls, but like you say, we're all human. I think I've touched on this when Will was on the Breakfast Club. That actually we're just doing our job. We're trying to do a good thing, but something that comes out of it. Do grow thick skin. Yeah, it's the case that you take the knock back, and it's easy to take it personally, but it's not. You take the knock back and move on, and that's character building. That's building resilience.
You start to realise that one thing in your day is not the be all and end all. No. And it goes back to, I think I read another quite lovely thing quote, but there's another thing saying like there's 86,000 seconds in your day or whatever, something along those lines. And if someone says no to you, are you going to let that 10 seconds ruin the rest of your day?
Yeah.
Which is ultimately where you don't want to be. You just want to kind of brush it off, just go, no, done, move on, and make the next call. Because you might, like I said, you'll have 10 no's, but that one yes will be absolutely astounding. And you'll be like, this is why I do what I do. And it also not just applies to recruitment and sales, but in this current climate, unfortunately, a lot of people are job seeking. So it also goes to that, the resilience to keep going even when you might not hear back or get
That's a really good point.
Yeah, you need to remember again, it's not the be all and end all. I know there's potentially limited positions now. Again, I'm not looking for a job, so I haven't looked at the job market in that respect. But you've just got to be resilient, and then from that, in terms of the resilience, I'd also say you need to actually have a reason to stand out.
Yeah.
And I say this to Shannon when she was applying for new roles before she joined Cheerwell Windows, is you've got to actually look at what the company are expecting of you in the job description and make your role match that.
Yeah.
Because in every role, there's going to be areas that touch upon what's expected of you. And if you're entering a new vertical in a new industry, give that person, hiring manager, a reason to want to speak to you. Pick up the phone, ring the person and say, hello, let's just go with John. Hi John, I saw that you're recruiting for this position. I just want to give you a call to ask a bit more about the role and share why I might be applicable. And that person will sit there and when they come off the phone and go, I probably wouldn't have actually considered that person beforehand, but they actually have some nerve to give me a call and have a conversation about it. Pick up the phone.
Well, when we first met, that was you were fantastic over the phone. That was an absolute winner for me. But in recruitment and in your business, pick up the phone. A busy recruiter is somebody that's on the phone talking to people. That's what recruiters do. So yeah, that's an important point. Just thinking back, actually. So if everybody could live their life by LinkedIn quotes, wouldn't the world be a better place? If you could successfully
instill every single
implement LinkedIn quotes to your life, you're onto a winner. So if you work out how to do it, let me know. So, sorry, next question. Okay, funniest or worst experience interviewing somebody or in being interviewed?
No, I've never been in a position where I've actually had to interview someone, so I'll have to decline that area. I don't think I have. Oh, obviously, yeah.
Christian, I'll just rewind, I tell you.
Yeah, rewind that, we'll go back. Yeah, obviously for the role of recruitment I did, yes. But I was thinking
for
more
4 years solid, he interviewed people.
How can I forget that? I was thinking more of like in a company-based role, actually hiring someone to join my team. I haven't been in that position, but yeah. From a worst interview perspective, I wouldn't actually say I've had a bad interview in the respect of I've always thought there's areas where I've done well and areas where I can improve. I will say that there's been a bad interview in the respect of the process. Okay. I once interviewed at a company before I joined Mayday where I had a 4-step process across 5 weeks. It's just way too long-winded. Yeah. It was a video interview, then a face-to-face interview, then a second face-to-face interview, and then actually going to the headquarters in Reading to be interviewed again, and then to join the team on like a half-day basis to be told no. You could have told me that a lot. Yeah, it's too long-winded. I
get that sometimes the more senior positions can be more long-winded. I play football with a guy that he'd applied for a very decent position at Aldi, and it seemed to go on, like you say, for weeks and weeks and months, but that's something that often in recruitment we push, because in certain markets when things are moving quickly, you as a business, if you spot a talent, your recruitment process needs to be quick enough, thorough but quick enough that person doesn't go elsewhere. It's a case that we speak to some really awesome candidates, really awesome people, and businesses miss out on them just because they're dragging their feet, their processes aren't quick enough, their reporting lines are too long, yada, yada, yada. But we get it needs to be thorough. It may need to be interviewed by more than one person, so the process may be a 2 or 3 step process. But it needs to be timely before that person sees another opportunity elsewhere and takes that one instead.
100%.
Yeah. Okay. Give an example of someone or something I know you've just stated that you haven't done many interviews, so this might be a tough one. Give an example of something that someone that impressed you during an interview, or what do you look for in the interview to impress you?
I'm always a big fan of honesty.
Okay.
And I know that.
I know this of him actually.
I know. Yeah. That we've had many conversations where I've been very honest, and probably not to the degree where you've probably questioned and gone, "What the hell? Why are you even asking me that question?" That's overstepped the mark. But that's who I am. That's who I am as a person.
There wasn't a mark between us. You trod on it so many times.
It's surprising because you just want people to be upfront and honest with you. If you. Like in the case of if you're not interested in doing something, just be honest. Say, actually, I don't want to look at that role, or I'd rather look at this sort of position. Be honest and upfront saves so many people's time in that respect. But I like people who give real life examples of why they should be put forward and make it relevant to the role they're applying for. So if you were applying for a sales role, in this case, for example, you give real data as to what you achieved in previous roles that makes you perfect for that role.
Yeah.
And you compare it to the job spec that someone sent to you. Say, if you were hiring and you said you were expecting someone to hit targets, can you give me a real life example of where you've done that in your previous role, where you've, and again, it goes back to transferable skills. It doesn't always have to be in that exact role, but it, especially in like entry level sort of roles, you can say, oh, at my previous job, it's outside a different vertical, but I had to still hit these targets, which I did. And then there'll be other elements that someone may choose you for that role, if that makes sense, because you may look at someone on paper and go, actually, they're not relevant, but then actually at the interview, they might be like, actually, I'm going to give this guy a go because there's hard work ethic there, there's a determination to achieve. That can sometimes outweigh the person who's had the experience. Okay,
let's go back. Actually, you touched on a point about particularly sales, and I know we've talked about sales a little bit already, but with somebody that can sell, selling is hard. And I'm not talking about a warm sale or a hot sale, however you want to describe it, but somebody that basically wants your product anyway, and all you're doing is pushing them over the line. I say all you're doing, there's still a good job to be done there. But cold calling, getting somebody from not knowing your product or service to being interested in it to actually getting them to commit. That is a difficult and hard job, plenty of knockbacks in it. So if somebody's coming in for a sales position, then the one thing I would be looking for is not only to tell me that they've worked in sales for 5 years for some of the greatest companies, and if they've worked somewhere for 5 years, that must mean they were good. I would want to see some evidence, some actual data, some stats on what they've done, how much they've sold, how they sold it, why they were better than the person sat next to them.
Even more so in the pandemic. Like we've gone through one of the toughest times in a sales person's career at this stage, depending on what industry. If you're in communications in terms of interview, Odro, that sort of thing, you've probably done really well for yourself, I'd say.
Don't mention Odro, I'm an interview fan.
No.
Shout out to Charles, awesome guy. Thank you very much for all your help.
But they're probably doing a little bit better than most people because they're in a position where their product's in demand. Like you said, it's a hot sale now. People are coming to them for that and so on. Whereas in other positions, maybe in recruitment, for example, people are probably slashing budget, marketing. People are probably taking that back and going, we need to consolidate our spending, so we're going to get rid of recruitment. We're not going to use agencies, that sort of thing. We're going to stop marketing, because those are the sort of the first things that tend to go in that.
Not always, but that is a valid point.
Yeah, and providing that data, especially when you can actually say during this time this was going on, and it could be a personal thing. During this time, I was battling with my mental health, or my wife was pregnant with a. Those things play into, no, it's true, but they play into people's stories in the respect of during this time I did this whilst this was going on in the background. And if someone's coming through that whilst doing that, you can potentially have a great team member. Because it's the same, and it's tough to obviously to bring it up in that respect. But I think one thing that's helped me get to where I am as a human being today and starting to look at things differently is, obviously I've sadly lost both parents at a young age. You have to grow up, you have to become resilient. And by saying, obviously, this is who I am, where I am I've owed a lot to my brother if he's watching this, David.
Yeah.
Incredible guardian, looked after us, but I owe a lot to him. But during that time, it's made me who I am today. So I can say to people, despite these big knockbacks, this is who I am. Yeah. It's the same in terms of your story as a personal. You may not think it's massive, but there are elements outside of work that can affect how you perform. And if you've come through that unscathed, then that's massive.
That is, and life traumas can build the character. So what comes out, what comes out the other side is that resilience, is that super strong character. So adversity builds character.
Yeah.
In a nutshell. Okay, so going from something that's impressed you to what puts you off. What's the biggest put off that someone does or says in an interview where you just immediately switch off?
I wouldn't say as so much does says. I think it's more does in terms of first impressions. Like I said, if you're late, I'm already questioning you.
Yeah.
Because that is the one thing. If you've been set a time to be somewhere, you be somewhere. If you put that agreement in there, unless there's a massive issue. Yeah. If you were planning on getting the bus and the bus was late and you still made it here, I'd expect at least a phone call. Yeah. Again, it's all this stuff that's instilled in a person or potentially can be built into a person. If you know you're going to run late, pick up the phone 20 or as early as possible. Say, just let you know, Andy, I'm going to be 20 minutes late due to this. I'm really sorry. I'll give you a date. At least you're in the know. So that would automatically start to question it. And then if they turn up to interview and they're slouching in their chair and stuff, you'd be questioning. Yeah. You'd be questioning things.
Yeah. Okay. No, they're very good points. Punctuality. I didn't say too much about it really. Skirting past that. Okay. So this is I'm not necessarily going to target this at Oxford Global, but more at Zenway.
Mm-hmm.
So, if I was a top talent in your industry, Zenway, why should I come and work for you?
Because it's tough because there's two reasons why I'm doing Zenway. Okay. One is to make experiences within travel more seamless, and the carry-on and the luggage is a starting point. In the end, I'm hoping to obviously expand into other verticals, clothing, bigger suitcases, that sort of thing. But the second part of things is, like I said, as a human being, I'm starting to realise different things. So if I was a top talent, I've always said this to you as well, I'd like to think I'd put the employee first above everything else, because if I give them the safest environment, I pay them well, and I give them a reason to not just to turn up to work and work, but to really passionately live through Zenway and make their life easier, they're going to return that in droves to me because of the capabilities I'm giving to them. So because I'm so young and starting Zenway, if it comes off, hopefully fingers crossed that I do end up
not so young, you're cracking on now, Christian.
Hopefully if I get to a point where Zenway does start to grow and I do make hires, they're going to be a vital part of the team, especially the first hires, and they're going to be very important to the company's growth. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I'd want to make sure that when they come in, I give them the best foundations as possible. So it won't be a case of this is how we're setting up. It'll be a case of what can I do for you to make your life easier? And there are so many different things. One we're going to touch upon, limited holiday, 4-day work week.
Yeah, so it's people first. People first. That's essentially it.
That's essentially the aim, because again, going back to the quotes things, I'm pretty sure Richard Branson said it, that if you treat your employees well, they'll go above and beyond for your company, and then the rest is kind of written in terms of
the most important thing isn't your client, it's the people. If you treat your people well, then they'll treat your clients well.
Precisely that, and that I was going to say, because I thought you said the partners who you work with are important. In my case, the people who invest in our suitcases are important, which is why there's certain things I'm adding, like lifetime guarantees and stuff like that, because I want them to trust that we are the right organisation to work with. And not just that on the standpoint, I want them to also buy into our value as an organisation of having a positive impact. And that goes not just for people, positive impact on travel experiences, but a positive impact on our environment, because we work in a space that isn't very environmentally friendly in terms of travel. So what can I do as a company to counteract and say, okay, we're not in the best area, but it's still an invalid and important part of people's lives. So what can I do from an environmental standpoint to try and help continuously improve what we do, whether that's sourcing materials from an ethical place and stuff like that. Yeah, going into that on another time. But then ultimately, that's the core focus in terms of people, your employees first, because they will then pass that love and feeling and whatever onto the partners they work with, because they're being treated by.
So it's the passion. So as the person that owns or starts a business, then you've got the passion. And I've been told in the past that you should never expect somebody that works for you to have that same passion. But I think by actually putting the people first, finding out what their motivation is, that's your best chance of achieving that anyway.
You put it into exact words, finding what their motivation is, because motivation will be different for everyone. So it's giving that space to, okay, say this will benefit you, and trying to do your best to make that a priority in that respect. And like you said, it goes back to what Gary Vaynerchuk said. When someone actually put their hand up in a keynote speech and said to him, Gary, how can I expect people who don't own the company to be as passionate as I am? And he said, you
that
don't.
Might be where.
And he answered it and said, you don't.
Yeah.
You own the company.
Yeah.
You just need to give them the best environment to do that. And ultimately, if you give them that, they'll give you more. They'll go above and beyond for you.
Okay, so before we're going to talk a little more about Zenway. Just going to go through some of the jobs that I've seen posted in the last couple of days. Christian will testify that this took 10 minutes just to fly through and get, because Banbury is...
I'm going to look at the comments to see if anyone...
Actually, I haven't been...
so you do that,
so
and I'll
if anybody has commented, I'm sorry, the phone's off.
I will look. There has been one comment, and you'll be pleased to know that it's from my brother.
You can rely on David Seeney. Thank you very much.
He's put, it's hard with a family thing. Christian will get distracted by food. True. It's valid. It is valid. I would. Yeah, give me food, and we're good to go.
Okay, I'm going to fly through some of these just quickly. I'm going to give you job titles and pay rates, etc. That's about it. So business development, these are all jobs in Banbury that have been posted on job boards in the last couple of days. So these are new jobs in Banbury. I've just printed off a selection. So business development executive by Cameo Consultancy, a great agency, really good. In fact, I've got a couple from Cameo. So Cameo must be nice and busy. The other one, business administrator. So if you're looking for either business development executive or business administrator, business development executive 18 to 21k, the business administrator 19 to 23k. These jobs are both in Banbury. So one of the BD is in the manufacturing industry, and the business administrator is local employer, a few reception duties, join their small team, and what industry are they in? Well, take a look anyway. But so if you are interested in those, Cameo Consultancy, give those guys a call. Client manager 50 to 70k in Banbury for an accountancy practice. Great job spec, flexible working hours, substantial annual leave. We'll go on to a bit of annual leave later.
Well, that's one of the touching points.
That's with public practice recruitment. So both all recruitment agencies so far. We've got a maintenance engineer, 42k, mechanical technician, again based near Banbury, an automated factory who are seeking mechanical maintenance engineer. No, it is in Banbury, sorry, and that's with Pioneer Selection Limited. This is a good one. I thought I'd throw this one in here. A couple of trainee roles. So trainee teaching assistant, no experience required, 12 to 25k in Banbury. Great role if you have to consider childcare. So this is it'll be being a teaching assistant, be school hours, which is great. So schools, in fact, I know in Oxfordshire, Northamptonshire, schools breaking up this week, so the kiddies are off. That is with the training room teaching careers. Trainee software developer, again, no experience required, competitive salary. I don't like it when people put competitive salary on there, I must admit.
No, I'm not a fan.
I need a gauge. That's one of the drivers of why you go for a job.
Exactly, it goes back to what we were saying earlier. Some companies pay same position, but they'll pay better or pay less.
Yeah.
And if you're in a company where you're considering leaving, but they pay you well, and it's just competitive salary, the first question you're probably going to ask is, I'm probably interested, but what's the salary?
Yeah.
And again, it will probably be a question of, it's competitive. You're
yeah.
like, do you know what, I won't bother then.
Yeah. So that's trainee, here we go, trainee software developer. That's the trainee room IT careers. So there's lots of different jobs around. There's always lots. This took 10 minutes to just quickly get a little bit of a selection, and these are posted within the last couple of days in and around Banbury. And finally, stock replenishment from Berry Recruitment, $10.50 to $13.25 an hour, temporary part-time role, supermarket operative. So stock replenishment is shelf stacking. There we go. A bit recruitment agency dominated, not biased obviously, but so just to prove that recruitment agencies will play a big part in getting people back into work.
And like we touched upon earlier in regards to when you're looking for roles, I know you've just pulled them off, but if you really do think you're qualified for a position, or at least have some of the criteria, again, it goes back to the resilience thing. There is absolutely no harm in click and apply. However, I would say, if you look at job description and you think actually this is 50-50, could go either way, give them a real reason to want to hire you. So when you send over that CV, make sure it's tailored to the company. Don't send the same CV out to everyone. Sit down and adjust every CV for every application, because job searching is a long process. It is. And to really stand out, you need to give people a reason. So make sure first and foremost your CV matches the criteria. Make sure that your job aligns with what they're expecting of you. So you can point out and say, in this role I did that matches that. Going above and beyond, pick up the phone. If it's for a recruitment agency, ring up the person and ask who's hiring that. If it's directly with the employer and they've given you an email or something, don't just apply for the job site. I'm sorry to say this, read or job, whatever. Go on the email, directly email the person and say, hi, I've come across this role, I'm really interested. If you would be open to a 15-minute chat, I would love the opportunity to present myself to you. That can go a long way. Yeah,
we touched on it on the first Breakfast Club with Will from OX7, that one of the expectancies from people dealing with agencies or applying for jobs with agencies and employers in general, that they're responded to. So every application should be responded to. So if somebody's made the effort to apply for something, the people or a business that they've applied for should at least have the decency to respond to their application.
Which I know is a touchy subject, isn't it?
It's a two-way thing. So employers, agencies should take the responsibility to reply to all applications. At the same time as people should you as a job seeker should take the responsibility to apply for a job properly. I just like Christian's put, there are lots of easy one-click apply, and you go click, and you can apply for 3 jobs within the space of
10 minutes.
Yeah, well, not even that.
Yeah, not even that.
When you are applying for something, it's a process that you should go through, seeing that you're suitable for the job, and then applying in the correct way. Thinking of tailoring your CV, tailoring your application to that job, picking up the phone, finding a little bit more out about the job. So this click and apply, it's all well and good, but it does clog up the system
for you, though,
until you bring in tech, obviously.
Of course, and for those of you who are going for more of a position in the creative industry, I'm connected with some absolutely fantastic organisations and also some people in the creative industry on LinkedIn, and some of the applications they receive go above and beyond. There was one brilliant application I received. Well, I received not personally, but the person I saw on LinkedIn, where they delivered a box and it was a drawer banner. And what they essentially did was they created a banner that said, it said open me on the package, so they opened me and they lifted it up. And what they did is they put it next to a desk, and it was the cutout of the person saying, this is what it would look like if I joined you. And they had the image cut round the desk, so the desk slid under. I hope you guys understand this. Do you get this? Do you know your Mayday banner that we used to use?
Yep. Oh, yep.
They created one of them.
Right.
And they had their image of them working at the desk with like a circle cut out, so then it slid under the desk, so it looked like that person was sat next to you working. So saying, and then the top bit was saying, this is what it would look like if you hired me, and it was that. But that's going above and beyond to show someone you're creative, especially if you're creative.
Yeah.
You need to give someone a reason to stand out. Obviously, one of the touching points when I looked at potentially leaving early on in my career, about 2 years in, I went to Social Chain, didn't I?
Yeah.
And one of the things I did for them was I created a 3-minute video that I sent in a hard drive to the director who was hiring and said, watch this. And it literally showed my creative side, but also showed more about me, which then ultimately got me an interview. Unfortunately, I didn't get the position, but that's what especially if you're going for a creative role. Yeah.
But that's something that opened the door for you.
Open the door.
Yeah.
And not just that, you learn. That's the key. Whatever, even if you get a no, you're still learning.
But you look back and that was a great experience.
100%.
I know the outcome wasn't exactly, but absolutely proved the point that you put the effort in, something creative, and put it out there. Yep. And actually, they invited you in for an interview.
From an actual experience perspective, I don't really do many pitches face to face in terms of presenting actual PowerPoints.
Yeah.
So I had to present a PowerPoint, which again I have to create, because no one wants to go, right, I live in Banbury, I'm from Oxfordshire, do this. No one wants that. So I had to create a way where I was the person who was speaking, but the images told the story, sort of thing. Yeah. So I put images up of my childhood and said this is how I've been brought up and stuff, and I spoke about it. But I presented in front of the COO and one of the directors there, and now they're a public traded company. So for me, the experience of standing up in front of 2 senior people, again, reminding myself that these are just humans. Yeah. They're just the same as me with a different title. They have the same feelings. Yeah. They go through the same hardships. And that's what we've just got to remember in our day-to-day. Day-to-day, you've just got to remember on the other side of that phone or the other side of that email is a human being. So before you potentially lose it, especially in a sales role, a lot of people go, oh, I haven't got time for this, don't speak to me, don't call me again. That's perfectly fine. But just remember, I'm just doing my job, sort of thing. And it's the same with other people. Yeah. You just got to remember on the other end, you don't know what someone else is going through. Just remember all the time, where possible, obviously all the time.
There's a great picture of, I think this is a Facebook that I've seen it, and it's saying, remember, always be kind to people and considerate. You don't know what they're going through. And then me in the car beeping my horn because somebody's cut me up, saying.
I'm guilty for that. I'm not the best on the road, but it's a slow process, and you'll end up getting there where you feel gratitude in everything you do. Yeah. Grateful to be alive, grateful to be in a job, grateful to be even job searching, grateful to have a roof over my head, because the problems I'm complaining about, the kettle didn't boil quick enough, or my car has got no air in the tyres. Someone else where
first world problems.
So and again it goes back to those images you see of like, be careful what you wish for. Like you see someone in a Lamborghini when you're in your bashed up car that you think's bashed up, but then someone's sat walking, staring at your car going, wish I had a car. And then someone's in a wheelchair looking at that person saying, I wish I could walk. And it goes back. And that's, if you can train your mind to think that way, you'll look at everything in a positive light.
Absolutely. That's a strong point. So we have, what is the, right, we've done an hour. But we've got some really good bits to go through though.
I'm sure people won't mind.
It's fine, so as long as you've got time.
I'm good. Okay. I'll put parking till midnight tonight.
Brilliant, right? So it doesn't go dark behind us and we're still talking. I did say this lad could talk, didn't I? So I did give you the heads up.
But I hope I've given you some gems in terms of the way of different thinking and stuff, and given you some insightfuls that may be different to what Tris has experienced, what's different to Will, because we all come with our own
Everybody's got different opinions, different experiences, and we're all part of the community. So it's, okay. So I'm really excited to hear about this. Christian has started a business called Zenway. So take it away, Christian.
Yeah. So essentially, the reason. The name itself comes from two words that I've put together. I don't know if that comes to fruition.
It instantly came to mind when you said the name to me.
Yeah. So ultimately, the world is yours to travel if you want to. You've got the ability to jump on a plane, not at this moment in time, obviously, unless you really need to and it's safe to do so. The governments allow that stuff if you can work and stuff like that. But you've got the ability outside of things like this where you could pay 50 quid and be on a plane to Germany and experience a completely different culture. So it's ultimately it's yours to travel. We want to ensure that we provide products to travellers to give you a harmonious experience, because the whole travel experience is not all about the destination. It's from when you pack to when you arrive at the airport to where you arrive at the destination airport. That part needs to be seamless too.
So it's interesting when you think about a holiday and you think about the pool. So I've got 3 kids. So for me, it's got obviously safe place to play and lots of things for them to do. It's got to, the food's got to be there. The apartment or the place that we're staying's got to be awesome. But actually, before that, you've got to get there.
Yeah,
and
you've got the whole 5 to 6 hour area of from when you leave home. Is the airport child friendly in regards to has it been modernised in terms of getting through quite quickly and that sort of thing? Are there other ample areas to sit? Those sort of things. Yeah. And what we're starting with is we're starting with a carry-on suitcase. Right. Now, this carry-on suitcase will be made from polycarbonate material, so it's light but really challenging to break. Right. Because what we're envisioning is that this will be with you for life, because we're giving a lifetime guarantee. So.
I've got lifetime guarantee. Bold move.
Very bold move, but it's
comes across. Sorry,
of course. No.
So my immediate reaction to a lifetime guarantee, that means you can only sell that thing to that one person once. That might be the recruitment side of me coming out, where you do a job well the first time, and you'll be asked to do it well again and again. But so. I'm very much repeat business. So to have lifetime guarantee seems a bit strange to me, but
there's 2 arguments to it. One, because it's an investment. You're investing in this carry-on suitcase that we want you to love as a travel companion. At the moment, I'll be honest, I have a suitcase and I'm really proud of it. I love it. But I will love mine when it takes its place. It will be my I'm really proud of it.
So you've already got a really nice carry-on?
I have indeed, yeah.
You're going to be getting rid of that?
I will be, yeah. So someone can take that off me. I'll give it for free. You can have it.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can have it. So the Zenway one in terms of lifetime guarantees is with you for life. So in the unfortunate event that maybe it's mishandled by the plane carriers and it comes back damaged, you simply take a picture, send it to our customer service, which will probably be me at the time because I'm going to be a one-person company. I'll hand it and I'll send you a brand new one for free, because you've made that investment in us, which is what it's going to be replicated in the price. Now, we're not going to be charging 500, 600 quid like some of the organisations like Rimowa and Toomey who do that. We're going to be charging around the £200 mark. That's what we're going to be doing. But like I said before to you, go to Tesco to buy a 50 quid one. It breaks. You got to go back to Tesco to buy a 50 quid one. That's 100 quid already. Whereas you invest the £200 up front, you get that suitcase, it breaks, it's with you for life. We send you a brand new one, it's with you for life.
£200 sounds quite cheap for something that essentially you will have for life. So I'm not sure where I got my suitcases from, but I can imagine it's probably somewhere like Tesco.
No, I'm not knocking you. I'm just saying,
But I would expect that every kind of maybe 3 or 4 years, I'll need a new suitcase.
Potentially, yeah.
So if that's 50 quid a pop, it's...
And it's also playing into the part of the environment, because what would happen is if it did break, it would come back directly to us, and then we would make sure it's recycled from our end. Whereas, again, with the Tesco one, you may just throw it in a landfill, throw it in the bin or whatever.
We do live in a throwaway society where we go through clothing, fashion, for example.
Fast fashion, very quickly.
Fast fashion. Actually, you wear it for a season. I don't. I wear that, as you probably people testify. I wear the same red T-shirt every day of my life.
The thing going off topic a little bit. The thing is, the top CEOs in the world do that. Yeah. Mark Zuckerberg, Stephen Bartlett, those people consistently wear the same things every day. Yeah. Because then what it does is it eliminates 2 things. It eliminates choice, because you don't have a choice. You're going to wear the same things every day. Yeah. They've got multiple of these, like 5 or 6 black t-shirts.
That's what they tell you.
Yeah, that's what they tell you. But ultimately, but then also, because what it's playing into is it's the fear of not being, what's the word I'm looking for, involved or in part of the community. When people are dressing a certain way and you're in that community, you kind of want to dress similar or look similar. So then you go out and buy the latest fashion, get rid of the old ones. Whereas this one, you're being yourself. I'm going to wear a black t-shirt, black trousers, black shoes every day. No decision maker, don't care who I'm around, that's who I am, that's how I'm going to be.
That?
Stephen Bartlett and, from the top of my head, Stephen Bartlett and Mark Zuckerberg are the two that come to mind. There are probably plenty of people out there. And Tris might be one as well, because I see him a lot in jeans, white top and his blazer.
Classic pressed white shirt.
And he looks smart, and so that plays into that part, and that's where we're thinking. We ultimately, there is absolutely, and I stress this in my day job, I stress this and we'll stress it in some way. You don't have to buy it. If you sit there and go, 200 quid's a bit of a stretch, stick to your 50 quid TK Maxx, Tesco, that's fine. It's not holding you accountable. But if you really pride yourself in how the bag looks and how it performs for you and works for you as a travel companion, then take the time to invest. And you've got us behind you as a guarantee. And you said about obviously the business in the future. That's just the first starting point. There will be a medium suitcase, then there'll be weekend bags, and then there'll be backpacks, and then there'll be toiletry bags, and then going into clothing and stuff like that. Because like I said, we want to make the whole journey as seamless as possible from when you leave your house. So that includes your clothing, because some people like to dress smart on a 10-hour flight. Me personally, I'd rather look a little bit like I'm going to sleep, because you want to be
bottoms and a hoodie.
Jogging bottoms and a hoodie, because you want to be comfortable on a 10-hour flight. So we'll start to, and again, when the team grows, I'll get experts to assist me with this. But the core vision and mission stands for that. Again, the world is yours to travel. We want to provide you with products that make that part of the whole aspect seamless. Yeah. And that's the core focus of it all.
You said just it's an awesome introduction, and so Zenway, really excited. So it's a side project. So you're obviously employed full time.
Yeah.
This is something that you've developed in your own free time. You've got it to the point where the product's designed.
Yeah, the suitcase is physical. It's in my house at the moment.
It's in your house.
I'm just hiding it because there with everything. It's the first iteration. There are things that I need to adjust with my partners to say, this has to be top notch. I'm not going to market with a product that I'm not pleased with. Yeah. And I will have a core group of people who travel a lot that will test it, and I'll give it to them and say, go. Tris has already asked Tris to do it.
When you did tell me that the suitcase had arrived, I was like, perfect timing, bring it in. But there's going to be a launch.
Yeah. So our intentions are to launch probably H2. Because like I said, I want to get this nailed down, that I've got the best product that I can go to market with. Again, to say to you guys, here's another option for you in terms of your travel companion. Yeah. If you like it, buy it. If you don't, go and find someone else. There's absolutely no pressure from my side.
So you said you're going to get Tris to try it out.
Yeah, Tris has agreed to. He said although he hasn't been able to travel internationally, yet at the moment, but he still has to go national. So he said he could give it a run for its money and test.
That'd be a win if he could.
It would just be good to get. Like I said, I'm doing it for the people I spoke with. I spoke to over 100 people regarding what they expect from a carry-on suitcase as a starting point, and many of them came back with the same sort of things. Yeah. They want a smooth 4-wheel suitcase. They want compartments to lock different things away, and they want to make sure that it lasts. Exactly. They want to make sure it lasts instead of just investing in a bag that rips on the first journey or something. Now, don't get me wrong. There'll be scratches and stuff that I can't help.
I went. This is when I was a teenager. I think actually went on a lad's holiday, and I went to grab my. It was a bag. It was a kind of big Adidas kind of over the shoulder sports bag kind of thing, and I went to take it out of the boot, and the whole thing ripped. So I actually had to go on holiday. I had to go and buy 2 reels of sellotape and take my bag up. So,
and that's ultimately what we want to try and avoid.
Fantastic holiday, terrible staff.
But that's the core focus. I'm under no pressure whatsoever to make any sales because it's a side project.
So what's next? So we'll see the launch.
Yeah. So hopefully launch H2, which will essentially be introducing the product to you, making it more visible to people, and then we will probably launch pre-order around September time, hopefully, with the view of getting people in for Christmas. There will be an enticing offer to get people to want to...
September time?
Yep. around Christmas time.
So we are 9 months away.
That's the aim, because ultimately I want to also coincide with the upward curve, hopefully travel returning. In the respect of, I don't want people...
Sorry, I was getting excited. I thought we were weeks, months away from kind of a...
So the whole community building and things will happen in the future. I'm working on ideas to start doing giveaways and stuff to get people excited about being part of our community, because again, it's for the people that want to, it's for the travellers, it's for the people who are just as passionate about the experience as they are as the destination. So there'll be giveaways in the future of where I'm giving away points and giving away little parts of the travel journey, AirPods, headphones, those types of things that you overlook but are vital. Yeah. So there will be those sorts of giveaways, and then from there it's just seeing where it goes. Yeah. Ultimately, the aim will be hopefully to be in a position where we just continuously grow.
That's awesome.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Well, you've got the passion for it. You are a driven individual. You've got everything going for you to make it, because it's come from the heart. This is something that you've had a passion about from since whenever I've known you. You've spoken about travel and everything in and around it. I've read your blogs. So it's something that I know is gonna be something that you're passionate about and you will make work on.
But like I've said, in everything I do, it's people focused. So it will be solely around the people that invest in the product. They'll get the best service possible to them.
Yeah. So passion for travel. You've been to lots of different places. You're one of the only people that I've known to take a flight just because you wanted to take the flight, not for the destination. Where was that?
I've been to so many places. So I wouldn't say I'm the person that goes to different countries and wants to stay there for months on end. Yeah. Like I said, I love the actual experience of flying just as much as the destination. So I've been to Seattle, I've been to Los Angeles, I've been to New York, I've been to Sweden, Stockholm, Oslo, Berlin, Stuttgart, and Stuttgart was the shortest trip in terms of, and Amsterdam. I've been to Amsterdam quite a few times, and
I've been to Amsterdam.
Yeah, they're just one day. They just literally, they're literally just, in the case of going to Amsterdam and to Stuttgart, they were one night stays. I flew out early in the morning, came back the next day, because I love the whole experience. I didn't even need to be in the place for that. In terms of the place that I took a trip just for the flight. It's mainly Seattle. I just booked I went out there on my own. I went to be fair, I went to New York and to Los Angeles on my own as well. And then most recently I went to LA in March, just before the pandemic, with Shannon.
I remember a cool video you recorded in was it a trainer shop in New York?
Oh yeah. I met some really good guys in Adidas, and they were unbelievable. They were a great bunch, and this is why I love travel, because you learn so much about the world we live in, like different cultures, like the way the Americans think, the way that the Germans think, and you really get embedded in what they do and it gives you an opportunity to try something new and put yourself out of your comfort zone. Before, Shannon said this to me the other day, it was funny. Sorry Shannon, I'm going to embarrass you here, but she had a cry the other day, because obviously the pandemic has taken its toll on everyone. Yeah. We had a massive year planned for us personally in terms of travel. So we were due to go to Amsterdam. We were due to go to Atlanta, Boston, New York, Dublin. We had an extensive lot, because before Shannon met me, she never had a passport. Wow. And obviously, you said with the passion for travel, I bought her passport, and I said, "Let's go on our first flight." Now, her first flight was horrible for her. Like, she was in tears.
You loved it, right?
I always loved it, but for her, never being on a plane before, quite a daunting experience for someone who thinks actually 35,000 feet in the air and a piece of metal, essentially, can be quite daunting. So we flew with BA to Stuttgart. That was our first flight. She had a rough night's sleep because of probably the excitement or nervousness in her case, and she had a bit of tears at the gate. BA were brilliant with us. They boarded us early with the first class people, sat us at the back of the plane and just said, "We'll look after you throughout the whole flight." To the point at the end, we got off last just to make sure everything went well, and they invited us to the front deck where Shannon could sit down and look at all the buttons and stuff and actually have a picture. But then from then on, she's just grown and enjoyed it. We most recently came back from LA, as I said. probably the worst turbulence I've ever experienced, and she just rode it, like as in like didn't phase her at all. She was completely normal because she got kind of used to it.
Yeah.
But going back to the point of the pandemic and the recent years, is because she, and this is how travel makes you feel. She came out with saying she said, I wish, she's joking, I'm saying, I wish I never met you. Because before
strong words, but do explain.
Because before I met you, I didn't have a care in the world to see the world. I didn't have a care in the world to travel.
Yeah.
But then opening her eyes to what is only an hour or two away is an eye-opener. The fact you can get on a piece of metal, a luxury piece of metal that flies you to Los Angeles, and you're in a completely different world where it's really freezing cold here, but over there it's 30 degrees or whatever, and being able to really take that in, it opens you up as a person to say, actually, I'm open, I can achieve a lot more and do a lot more.
Yeah.
And it opens you up to an endless amount of possibilities in terms of you can always look for jobs in different areas, different countries, that sort of thing. And you just follow what you're feeling here.
So all this travel, so you obviously want to take as much time off as possible to travel around.
Going on to a subject of unlimited holiday.
I could not let you leave this building today without throwing this in here. So this is something that you wrote a blog on this while you're with Mayday. Mayday published it. It's something you feel strongly about. We had so many conversations in the office about it. Had everybody's at some time or other, had everybody's opinions within Mayday on the subject. Christian was adamant that it was the way forward. And in fact, we've seen more of it in recent times. So it could be argued, a more modern way of thinking, a more up-to-date. It can be argued that some of the practices of giving employees minimum holiday is outdated. There is obviously a minimum 28 days holiday.
It's very frustrating when you see that. 20 days holiday on a job description. That's not a benefit. It's definitely not a benefit.
It is not a benefit. It's a legal requirement.
It's standard.
So unlimited holiday basically is what it says on the tin. It means as an employee, you are allowed to take holiday whenever you like for an unlimited period, which face value seems pretty crazy, because wouldn't you just take 12 months off?
That's where the balance comes into it. If you're sat there now thinking, as an employee, unlimited holiday, I'm going to take as much time off, you're thinking of it the wrong way.
But I'm just thinking contractually. So contractually, you could have somebody off for 12 months.
Yeah, but
that wouldn't actually come to work, and there wouldn't be a valid reason.
No, you're right. But then the argument
to stop working there.
The argument would be, first and foremost, in the recruitment hiring process, you're hiring the right team members that won't abuse that.
I do get it. I just think I'm just
playing devil's advocate.
Throw in there worst case scenario. Somebody could quite simply just go on holiday and not do anything, and the employer wouldn't have any comeback, would they? Unlimited
from a legal standpoint, I think obviously you'd have to put something in the terms to
saying if you never actually showed up for work, you just took holiday.
I'm not a legal expert in that respect, but from and that's something I probably want to do as Zenway in terms of it would be an offering, because I'm going to trust that I hire the right people, and by that I mean essentially, again, it goes back to the whole what you want that person to achieve. I'm going for sales because it's the easiest one to actually put down. Your quota is this amount. You deliver that every year. I don't care what you do, unless obviously it doesn't jeopardise.
I think that's a massively strong point. Yep.
That doesn't jeopardise the company. You don't want to go out there and say bad things and still make the money, because that's not good. But if you make your quota each year and take 50 days holiday, I don't care, because you've made your quota. It's what I expect of you. That's what the value in it is trusting the employee. Trusting the employee to say, okay, as an employer, I'm giving you a benefit because I'm putting you as the human being, you as my employee, first, by saying, I want you to utilise as much time as you need because there are times where you sit there and go, I've got 22 days holiday.
Yeah.
I can't. I've used all my holiday for these, but now I've got this thing that's been thrown in to say, like, I need to go to the hospital somewhere.
So that's the caveat I'm looking for in the contract that says, actually, and easier done in sales or something that's target driven, is you can have as much holiday as you like, as long as you produce X, Y, and Z.
As long as you deliver,
So, but in some industries, isn't that a lot harder?
It will be challenging, yeah. So again, back to the point of working from home, it may not work in certain industries. You've got to do ultimately what's best for your organisation.
Yeah.
From an office standpoint, there's that leeway, because it can't just be that you turn up and go a day before I'm going on holiday tomorrow. There'll be procedures in place to say we need at least 2 weeks notice to notify, because then you'd have the right transition period to hand over to say, okay, this is the work I'm not going to be doing while I'm not here for a week or something.
Yeah.
That's the type of, and again, this would all be put into play through the employer to set that boundaries with the employee to say, this is where we expect a bit of leeway from you to give us notice, to make sure you're doing your job, and we reserve the right to review this or whatever.
Yeah, like obviously I initially put something forward that was a bit stupid, stupid, but I just said, just saying what if, and then looking at the contractual side of things. But in all reality and how it plays out is that there are caveats in the contract that ensures that people are acting responsibly, but face value and the whole calling it unlimited holiday, it's giving confidence and giving reassurance to the person working in an environment. Actually, the place you work trusts you, 100%. Trusts your opinion, trusts your judgment.
That's the key.
Yeah,
that is the key. Is you've hired this person. If you turn around to me and said, no, unlimited holiday won't work because I don't trust this employee, you've made the wrong hire. Why would you hire someone if you don't trust them? I just don't understand that.
No, I get that, but just to say on the other side of that, something you hire somebody, and it's any hire is a certain leap of faith.
Of course.
No matter how thorough the process is, somebody can sit in front of you, say all the right things, have all the right experience, etc., etc.
Yeah.
But then something can change, or they could have. I'm not going to go too far into detail, but it's something that trust is for me. You build trust.
100%.
So there is a side of me. There's a part of me that says yes, unlimited holiday, brilliant. For those that possibly have been in the company for a year or 2 years, or possibly so there's a time to build up trust.
Of course.
I do get the opposing argument is if you hire somebody, it's a two-way thing. There should be trust from the start.
And again, going back to the whole focus of in terms of that is it's got to be right for you as the employer and also the person you work with. That would probably work with someone if you turn around and say, look, being honest, as I would expect to be employer to employee, we want to build the trust with you first. We want to see you deliver that first year of results. From year one, the unlimited holiday comes in, or we work 4 days a week, or whatever it is that's in there. Yeah. However you want to play it, but the modern way of thinking is starting to transition where people are starting to look at employers and go, okay, how am I actually going to benefit outside of work for this as well? And I'm not just meaning people are no longer sticking in jobs for 40 years because it pays well and does this. They want a lot more than that. Yeah,
well, that's a whole other kind
conversation,
of conversation, but it is right. The more modern stance is what is in it for me. So, and quite rightly, and just going back to the interview thing where it's a two-way thing.
Yeah.
Employment, it's a two-way thing. It's not. You touched upon the point that the head of the business, whatever it is, CEO or whoever it is, yes, does make decisions, but
it's got to be right for you.
It's a two-way thing. It's not a kind of barking orders, or it shouldn't be in this day and age a barking orders scenario. It's a two-way thing. People do move jobs more frequently nowadays. It's I think that's statistically proven.
Tris touched on it greatly last time in the conversation. It's risk and reward. When you're going to an employer in an interview, you're looking at them as, okay, I've identified that this job could be good for me. Now it's finding out, will it be right for me in terms of environment, in terms of what it can do for me outside of work, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And then ultimately, if you come away from that interview going, I don't feel it, it's probably not right for you.
Yeah.
And that's where you need to do some digging inside yourself, not obviously go into mindfulness and stuff, but you need to really understand your motivations and what keeps you going. For me, it might not be extra additional money. It might actually be that I want the extra holiday, which again could be, you could argue saying, look, I'm giving you an extra X amount, which would cover the holiday sort of thing. But then I would say, but I'm not allowed to use that extra money because I haven't got enough.
We've had these conversations before.
Yeah, so it ultimately it's just got to, it's all down to the specific sort of environment from an employee and an employer and what's best for both parties. If you're a forward-thinking employer in that respect and start thinking ahead, you'll start to look at these things and go, okay, how can we potentially adjust, or what can we do differently? And benefits may come in different things.
That's a great persuasive point there to any employer. If you're forward-thinking, you'll consider this. I like it.
Great way to
nice
put
pitch, Okay, so thank you very much for coming in today, Christian.
No, you're more than welcome. Thank you for having me.
Awesome to see you. Obviously doing really good at Global, which is Oxford Global, which is awesome to hear, and really excited about Zenway, so keep your eye on that. Gutted that you didn't bring any product in to show you guys.
I apologise.
But yeah, keep your eyes peeled for it. That's another Breakfast Club. Hope you have a lovely Friday and a great weekend. We'll see you all next week.
Thank you for having me, and yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah,
it was good.
Yeah,
enjoyable. Good topics we covered.
We do like an hour.
We do.
Right, thanks very much, guys.
See you later.
Bye.